Royal Guard Publishing presents Red Elf Ranch, written by Michael Dalton, performed by Christopher Harbour and Mandy McCullough. Chapter 1. Sunrises in the Green River Valley were like few things on Earth. As the sun peeked over the horizon, the light hit the underside of the clouds and set the whole sky on fire. It was an incredible sight. Even when you'd seen it every morning for the past month, it was also a vision that lasted for only a few minutes, which was fortunate, because my attention needed to be elsewhere. Down below, the other ranch hands were getting our herd moving. I was up on a mesa keeping watch for wolves along with Frank, the owner of the herd. I was with him not because I was anyone special, but rather the opposite. This was only my second summer on the Green River cattle drive, and for now I was a better shot than I was a cowboy, which I wasn't. Wolf duty, though, was important, and it said something that Frank trusted me with it. For a wolf pack, a cattle herd was a mobile all-you-can-get-away-with eating buffet. A moving herd would almost always draw packs of wolves after it, and unless you were prepared to stop them, they would pick off whatever calves and stragglers they could catch. My radio crackled at my belt, and Frank's voice rose out of it. "Connor, keep an eye on that stand of trees back there. Looked like something was moving in the underbrush." I turned around, lifting my binoculars and scanning the area he meant. I didn't see anything at first, but Frank had been doing this for 40 years, and I trusted his instincts. He could spot a wolf's snout under a brush from 200 yards away. Sure enough, once I zoomed in, I saw 3 of them moving around, trying to hide as they stalked the rear of the herd. I grabbed my radio and thumbed the transmit button. "I see 3 of them over there. Might be some more." "All right, keep watch on them for now," he replied. "I'm going to ride over the other side and make sure they're not trying to come at us from behind." I got my horse moving and circled slowly around the cattle as they moved along the river. My first summer down here, I'd mistakenly thought we would shoot any wolves the moment they showed up. I was surprised to discover that Frank and the other hands would usually stalk the wolves in turn. The reason was that shooting a single wolf was pointless. You might get that one, but the rest of the pack would run off and disappear, only to return later that day or night. Instead, I learned that we needed to keep them at a distance until we could draw as many of them out of their cover as we could. Once we had the whole pack exposed, then we would start picking them off. But not until then. A lot of times Frank or the other hands would actually drive one of the herds from place to place just to lure out the wolves. Once a pack started following the herd, we would try to catch them out and kill as many as we could before they ran off again. 3 wolves, though, was not a pack. What I'd seen was just a portion of it. I knew there had to be others around somewhere. For a few hours I trailed the herd along the ridge above the river, keeping an eye on the tree line where I'd seen those wolves. I saw nothing for a while, but I knew they were there. One thing I'd learned my previous summer was that wolves were very crafty and cunning. They knew better than to expose themselves when they didn't have to. It was a bit of natural selection at work. These wolves were the descendants of generations of packs that had stalked generations of Wyoming cattle. The careless ones got shot. The smart ones lived to hunt another day and pass on their genes. Frank had made that very clear to me when I started working for him last year. "Any moment you start thinking you're smarter than those wolves," he said, "you stop right there and let go of it. Right now, you're the dumbest one out here. The average wolf is a hell of a lot smarter about this than you are." Last spring I'd come to his ranch wanting to earn some extra money for school. It was a choice between working as an apprentice roughneck in the Niobrara shale fields or riding a cattle drive. The former might have earned me more money, but something about it just rubbed me the wrong way. I wasn't exactly a ranch kid, but I'd grown up in the outdoors in Montana. I knew how to ride and shoot. I'd even done some cowboy action shooting in high school. I'd spent enough time in scouting to handle myself well enough in the field, and I didn't have a problem living out of a tent or a trailer for weeks on end. Frank, though,